In the huge world of Green Lantern stories, you get a lot of tales about heroism, right? But this is different. It's a straight up tragedy. We're talking about a father and daughter, both incredible warriors, whose whole lives were built on honor. But that very devotion, it didn't just define them, it absolutely destroyed them. So let's get into the story of the Omotos. And really, it all kicks off with this one single piece of advice. Strike without looking, trust your heart over your eyes. It's what Kentor Omogoto taught his daughter, Lara. And look, on the surface, that sounds pretty solid, right? It's about discipline, trusting your instincts. But, and this is the key, this simple phrase, it ends up being like a ghost that haunts their entire story. Its meaning gets twisted from this noble lesson into something, well, something fatal.
Okay, so to really get why they fell so hard, you gotta understand where they came from. The Omototos were Green Lanterns, but they were from the planet Jade. And Jade, it's a world built on this incredibly rigid, strict code. We're not just talking about ideals here. On Jade, tradition and honor, that was the absolute law.
And for Kentor and Lyra, this code, man, it was so much more than just a rulebook. It was everything. It was the core of who they were. Their entire identity was wrapped up in mastering their emotions and this deep, unwavering belief that the universe was a place of perfect, orderly justice. Yeah, a belief that was about to get completely shattered. And this right here is where things start to go wrong. It's the big turning point for both the father and the daughter. A whole series of betrayals just starts chipping away at that rock-solid faith they had. And you start to see these cracks forming in the very foundation of how they see the world. What's so wild is how their stories run in parallel. So for Cantor, it all starts when he comes back from the dead. Yeah, you heard that right, only to find his home planet has changed. The ruling council he respected, he sees them as weak, corrupt, and for Lyra, man, it was even worse, way more personal. She gets abandoned by Hal Jordan, a hero she looked up to. She's enslaved by the Manhunters for years, and then she has to watch as her mentor's entire family is slaughtered. I mean, can you imagine? And this is where you see this huge shared shift in how they think. The universe they were taught to believe in, this place of order and justice, that illusion just crumbles. And what's left? A chaotic, cruel battlefield. And in a world like that, trusting anyone isn't a good thing. It's a liability. It'll get you killed. So all that disillusionment, it starts to curdle. It turns into something way, way more dangerous because they both, independently, come to the exact same chilling conclusion. The system is broken, justice isn't working, so it's up to them to force their own brand of it on the universe. And what they do next, it's like they're a dark mirror of each other. Kentor is convinced the old ways are being forgotten, so he becomes this tyrant, the Golden Dragon, to literally force order through fear. Meanwhile, Lyra hits her breaking point when she's facing down the villain Amon Sur. She looks at him and sees the same kind of decay that she saw in her own father. So what does she do? She completely bypasses a trial, all the rules, and just executes him, right there on the spot. They both decided they were judge, jury, and executioner.
And this quote, man, it just nails that exact moment. All that incredible training, that iron-willed self-control she was famous for, it just snapped, gone. And that one single act, that was it. That was the end of Lyra, the disciplined Green Lantern, and it was the beginning of her long fall from grace.
And of course, what's happening on the inside starts to show on the outside. And it is powerful and frankly terrifying. They are completely consumed by the exact emotions their code their entire lives taught them to master and push down: fear and rage. You can actually break down their tragic paths into 4 almost identical steps. It's wild. Step 1, they're Green Lanterns, all about willpower. Step 2, they get completely broken by betrayal. Step 3, they both commit this major act of personal vengeance. And then the final step, a new power ring finds them, one that's fueled not by will, but by the raw emotions they've totally lost control of. So let's zoom in on that last step, because this is where the transformation becomes literal. Kentor wants to rule through fear so badly that his rage and his will literally turn his green ring yellow, the color of the Sinestro Corps. And Lyra, after she gets kicked out of the Corps for what she did, a red lantern ring, a ring of pure, undiluted rage finds her. And why it's able to claim her? Well, that's where the story becomes just pure poetic tragedy. This description is just wow. It's so powerful. The one thing that defined her entire life, her honor, is just gone. And that leaves this vacuum inside her, a hollow space. And what rushes in to fill that void? Pure, unquenchable rage, blood and fire. At this point, she doesn't just feel rage anymore. She is rage. All right, let's tie this all together, because this is the real kicker. The entire Omoto story is just dripping with this deep, tragic irony. Think about it. The very principles they built their entire lives on, those same principles became the blueprint for their own downfall. And that really gets to the heart of it, right? The central question of their whole story. How does a lifetime of training, of discipline, of mastering your emotions lead to losing control so completely? Well, the answer, weirdly enough, takes us all the way back to that very first lesson we talked about. Yup, we're right back where we started. Trust your heart over your eyes. That teaching from Kentor. When we first heard it, it sounded like a lesson in honing your instincts, right? But now it carries the full, crushing weight of their tragedy. Because you have to ask yourself, when the discipline, when the framework is gone, what's left of your heart? What is that instinct? And that is the ultimate messed up twist. For Lyra, as a Red Lantern, trusting her heart didn't mean disciplined intuition anymore. Oh no, it meant lashing out with pure, blind, animalistic rage. The very lesson that was supposed to make her the perfect warrior became the justification for her to become this mindless beast in the Red Lantern Corp. And that path led her straight to her own death. So in the end, their fates were just locked together in this tragic cycle. Kentor dies by his own hand because he fails to corrupt the daughter he spent his life training to be honorable. But here's the irony. It was that same rigid honor he taught her that made her so brittle. It made her so vulnerable when the universe didn't play by the rules. And that led to her exile, her transformation, and ultimately her death. She ended up being a victim of his teachings, but in the most twisted way possible. And so this whole tragic story of the Omotos, it really leaves us with this powerful, cautionary question to chew on. It's a story about the real danger of being absolutely rigid, of never bending. And it forces us to ask ourselves, when does a code of honor stop being a source of strength and start being a cage?